So in this video, we're going to discuss our American Pit Bull Terrier program, a little bit about where we are, how our program, our Sorrells program, is a little bit different than basically what anybody else has going on. The reason I'm not just going to play this video that we're looking at, is I wanted to add to this video some content that I can only get off of my computer, such as the pedigrees or the hip x-rays. So as we play this video, I'll stop it from time to time, and we'll show you some pedigrees and hip x-rays of each of the dogs as we go through the yard.
Haley Robinson here at American Sentinel Canine. We are going to do a walkthrough of our yard. We haven't done that in a little while. We're going to start off with the American Pit Bull Terriers. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at Cody here first.
Actually, we're going to skip Cody and come back to her in a little bit, because I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead to the dogs that are being used most often, and when we talk about her sister, we'll talk about her as well.
All right, now Frankie-Bomp is the core of our pit bull program, and we have a lineup. Even though we're really heavily focused on the Sorrells blood, we're really targeted Frankie-Bomp quite a bit. And my Sorrells program, I get it. My Sorrells program is a combination of blood that I acquired from Madison Parker and Mickey Smith. And I felt like Madison Parker had a really solid proven working dog program, and Mickey Smith had a lot of the pedigrees that went back to the Sorrells yard. But I didn't want just pedigree. I wanted to make sure that performance was still there. So we combined that blood together from Madison and Mickey Smith together, and we've got some phenomenal dogs. So our Sorrells combination is a little bit different than what you're going to find elsewhere. Let me go ahead and go in here.
Let me pause this video here, and we're going to jump ahead and look at Frankie-Bomp, because Frankie-Bomp, like I said, he's the foundation of our yard. So I'm going to go to our Pit Bull program tab, and we'll scroll down. That's Boomer right there, the first dog that we're going to look at in the video, because Frankie-Bomp unfortunately has passed away. So let me actually, I need to go to our males page. And even though Frankie-Bomp has passed away, we do have semen on him. This is Frankie-Bomp right here, and this is the thumbnail that we had for the video. He is or maybe that's not the thumbnail, but it's a picture very similar to that. So we're going to look at his pedigree here, and as we look at this pedigree, we'll see that he is out of Big Daddy and Misfit. Now, Misfit is a 100% Sorrells dog through and through. Everything in Misfit's side is 100% Sorrells. Big Daddy is only about 50% Sorrells. And if we click on him and we look at his pedigree, we'll see that Big Daddy resembles Frankie-Bomp quite a bit. And also, he's got Chilo in here multiple times. And Chilo was an accomplished dog, as was Big Daddy. And he goes back to heavy Sorrells as well. So let me back up to Big Daddy here, and we'll see that he's got a few outs in him. This here is going to have your Woods blood, your Snooty blood, and your obviously we got a Boomerang coming in here, and Boomerang is going to play a pretty significant role later on as we get further into the pedigree. But the outs that we have coming in on Frankie-Bomp are coming in on the Big Daddy side. Okay. Also, I meant to pull up my hip x-rays. So we don't just performance test our dogs, we actually health test our dogs as well. So let me add, I got to close this out. Let's see if that works. My apologies. Remove from stage, and we're going to add to stage an image file. And this is the image we're going to look at. So this is Frankie-Bomp's hip x-ray. And for those of you who are not familiar with the hip x-ray, this dog has excellent hips. For those of you that are familiar with the hip x-ray, hopefully you can see that there in the picture. Okay. All right.
Good boy.
We rewind that.
Go ahead and go in here. This is Boomer. Boomer is a young dog, about 2 years old. He's out of Frankie-Bomp and Rose.
Good boy. Good boy. Good boy.
He's about 58 pounds. Pretty good sized dog. His condition weight would be about 49, 50. He was really.
So he's about 58 pounds here. His condition weight, like I said, would be about 50.
Now this dog is a high drive, very determined dog, and he's looking to be an excellent producer as well. We've got a couple of pups off of him that are looking outstanding. Okay. So Boomer is 7/8 Sorrells because his sire is Frankie-Bomp, who is 3/4. His mother is Rosebud, who's 100%. And we'll drop his pedigree here for y'all to check it out.
All right. So let me pause that, and we're going to jump over here to my studs page, and we'll see Boomer's pedigree. So this is back to my studs page. Boomer here. That's a picture of him when I had him on a chain. And here's his pedigree. Okay, so we're going to look at his ped, and like I said, you can see he's out of Frankie-Bomp and Rosebud. And just FYI, all of my American Pit Bull Terriers are APBT registered, and all of them have their hips x-rayed before breeding. Okay, now Rosebud is 100% Sorrells, as was Frankie-Bomp's mother. So you got 3/4 right there that is straight up pure Sorrells, and then Big Daddy, like I said, was 50%. So we got another 12.5% here. So 75 plus 12.5% puts him at 87.5% Sorrells, or 7/8. Okay, and I think I've got his hip x-ray here on my computer as well. Let's go ahead and cancel that. All right, so that's Boomer's hip x-ray. And again, you can see excellent hips. The positioning wasn't exactly right by the veterinarian, but if they position them parallel, it provides, actually makes them look better. The less parallel they are in the picture, the worse the hips look. And even though the positioning is not perfect, look at these hips. They're perfect. This is an excellent hip. The femoral head goes right into the pelvis. It's deep into the socket. For those of you that don't know what a poor hip x-ray is, I will show you a picture of a poor hip x-ray. All right. This here, you can see the femoral heads are not going into the socket correctly. See how this is displaced? Dysplasia means displaced. So here the pelvis is not clearly defined, and the femoral head's not in there like it should be. Okay, let me go ahead and go back to the examples and find another picture that's a little bit better. Here's another one that's got a lot of dysplasia. You can see the hip is not in the socket like it's supposed to be. Okay, so this dog here would have a very hard time recovering after conditioning, and would probably be limping even before conditioning. I'm sure it would be. That's pretty severe. Okay, let's look at a case of mild dysplasia. Here you can see this one's in kind of okay, but this one here is a little bit worse. There's a little bit of a space in there. What we want to see is a really tight fit of the femoral head in the pelvis. And here's excellent hips. Okay, so you can see the femoral head is well in the socket and clearly defined. Okay, and in a good x-ray, these femur bones, the femoral bones, the femur, will be parallel. Those two bones will be parallel, and the more parallel you have it, the better the x-ray actually looks. So if you have an excellent hip x-ray and the femurs aren't even parallel, then you have a super excellent dog, just to be honest with you. The better the positioning, the higher the score, but good positioning will not make poor hips look good. Here you can see poor hips, and even though the positioning is good, the dog just has poor hips. Okay, so with that said, let's go back and let me show you Frankie-Bomp's and Boomer's again, and you can see what I was trying to show you before. Okay, so here's Boomer's hip x-ray, and if we look at that, you can see it's very clearly defined. His femoral heads are well in the pelvis, and the pelvis really comes out and around it, making a nice ball in socket joint. So what that means is this dog can be exercised, conditioned, and recover very well. Okay, so he's not going to have any problems with that. Let's go back and look at Frankie-Bomp's, since he was the start of the show, and see his are also excellent. So now you can see that this image is not as good, but you can still see that his femoral heads are very nicely in the sockets. Okay, so we've already checked out his pedigree, and we also saw his hip. All right, so let's move on to the next dog back in that video.
If any of the pedigrees are not shown in the actual video, we'll drop them in the link below. So if you want to see their pedigrees, you can just go to the video description and you'll see the pedigrees in the video description. All right, so this is Scarlet. Scarlet is Boomer's sister, litter mate. Very high drive dog, super affectionate, loves to be in the house. She's in the house quite a bit. We just have her in the kennel now, and she keeps going to the gate because she wants to go inside, don't you, girl? Yeah. She's a smaller dog. She's going to be around 40 pounds right now. Being Boomer's sister, she's going to have the same pedigree. Frankie-Bomp on the top side and Rosebud on the bottom side. So 3/4 Sorrells on the top, 100% Sorrells on the bottom, making her 7/8 or 87.5%. Very athletic dog. Both of these.
Okay, so like I said, that is Boomer's sister. So she's going to have the same pedigree. So if we click on Boomer here and we go to siblings, you're going to see Scarlet over in the list. And all, like I said before, all of our pit bulls are APBT registered. So she's out of Frankie-Bomp and Rosebud. Rosebud's 100%. Frankie-Bomp's 3/4, putting her at 7/8 or 87.5% Sorrells. All right, and I really was super happy with Frankie-Bomp. And the reason our Sorrells program is different from everybody else's is because we are actually combining the Frankie-Bomp dog with 100% Sorrells dogs, and it's really working out very well for us. Now, the next thing I wanted to show you here with Scarlet, since we said that all of our dogs are hip x-rayed, let's go ahead and look at Scarlet's hips. All right, so we got Scarlet's hips right here, and again, excellent. It would have been better if this pelvis, if the femurs were parallel, straight up and down. They're a little bit off to the side. It'd been better if they were straight up and down, but that's a positioning thing. And even though the positioning is not perfect, which improves the score, again, her hips, you can see those balls are very clearly in the socket. Very nice hips, super athletic dog, recovers very quickly, no issues whatsoever. And I noticed that when I clicked on this picture, this is Miss Bandit. She's going to be coming up in a minute in the video. So instead of me searching for her hips, let me go ahead and show you her hips here as well. Again, the femoral heads are very well defined in the socket. Okay, so let's go back to that video and hit play.
These dogs are very dog aggressive and have a high prey drive. They're not good with other animals. She's good with Reptar because she's introduced to Reptar when she was a pup.
So Reptar is our house dog, and Scarlet's good with Reptar, but that's the only dog I trust her with. Reptar is 10 years old. Scarlet's about 2.5 or 3 or something like that, and she was raised with him.
All right, this is Banshee. Banshee is Dakota's sister. This is older than Dakota, but they are full litter mates. It was the exact same breeding. Banshee is out of Frankie-Bomp and Komodo. And Banshee is one heck of a dog. Super athlete, very muscular, a beautiful brindle color that comes from Komodo because Komodo was brindle. And I like Banshee quite a bit. One of my favorite girls acts like Frankie-Bomp. Has got that outcross coming in from the Mayday blood, but without it being totally different because the
Patrick up there.
blood, but without it being totally different because the Patrick blood again was similar to Sorrells. A phenomenal athlete she is. She's a big girl. She's actually a little over 50 pounds, and she stays pretty cool. She's self-conditioned, doing that kind of stuff all the time. She'll do it again.
All right, so earlier in the video, we're at 5:21. We're going to come back to this point. Earlier in the video, we looked at her sister, Bakoti. So I'm going to rewind it because Bakoti and her have the same pedigree. They are sisters, full sisters, same sire and same dam.
The American Pit Bull Terriers. So Bakoti was out of Frankie-Bomp. And I'll drop a picture of Frankie-Bomp here in the video.
Okay, I already showed you him in the video, but just in case y'all are curious who Frankie-Bomp is, if you came in late, that's Frankie-Bomp right there. And there's Frankie-Bomp again, and I have his pedigree here, but let me go ahead and go back to this.
And we got pups off of her and Boomer right now. Double
Okay. So let me show you that. Who's we got these pups off of? We bred her to Boomer. Bakoti was bred to Boomer, and since sorry about that, I wasn't showing you the screen.
Banshee. And we got pups off of her and Boomer right now. Double bred on Frankie-Bomp. Because Boomer is out of Frankie-Bomp and Rosebud, and Bakoti is out of Frankie-Bomp and Komodo. So the 2 times Frankie-Bomp, Frankie-Bomp was a 3/4 Sorrells dog. Rosebud was 100% Sorrells, and then Komodo, her mother, was Red Boy Jocko Bolio Tombstone with some Cottingham and Crenshaw, but basically she was heavy Mayday blood. So this dog here is a cross between basically Sorrells and Mayday. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Mayday was heavy on Patrick blood, which is very similar to Sorrells.
All right, let me go back to where I was at 515, 516. So something else I should say about that, with them being off of Frankie-Bomp and Komodo, these dogs are gonna be 3/8, and the pups out of them and Boomer, who is 7/8, would make those pups 5/8 that we just showed you off of Boomer and Bakoti. All right, back to the video.
All the time. Could do it again. All right. Oh, she got a hurt leg.
All right. Now,
What did you do, girl? You weren't like that just a few hours ago.
you'll see here. I'm gonna let you see it.
By the way, all these dogs are.
All right, so you can see she's limping right here. She had just hurt her foot, and I didn't know it. That had just happened. We washed the kennels, and she had just hurt her foot. But because of that, I went ahead and pulled out a video of her today, which I recorded that other video like 4 days ago. Her foot is already healed, and here's a video of her today.
All right, when we did the original video, Miss Bandit had hurt her back foot, and that was just maybe like 3 or 4 days ago. So I wanted to give an update and let y'all see that she's fine. She just had a little injury on the pad of her foot, and it's healed up just in 3 or 4 days. So anyway, let's go ahead and get back to the video. You can tell she's pregnant, so this is a little bit later, and she's gained a little weight even in 4 days.
I wanted to add that little snippet so y'all could see that she's fine, but she's normally just like I showed you. Okay, let's see. I need to go to, yeah, right here. So even though she's going to be a little limping here in this particular video, you can see she's fine. This was like 4 days ago, and her foot has already healed.
And they have excellent hips, very good hips. You can see their hips on my website. We've got pictures. So she's got an injury. I don't know what she did to injure her leg, but must have got caught in the fence or something.
I can't tell if it's bloody or what. Maybe it's just a cut.
Okay. This dog here is off of Frankie-Bomp and Sadie, Miss Sadie from Madison Parker's yard. And Sadie was out of Slippin' Jimmy, and Slippin' Jimmy and Frankie-Bomp were half siblings. They were both sired by Big Daddy. So Slippin' Jimmy and Frankie-Bomp were both sired by Big Daddy, making her double bred on Big Daddy because she's got Frankie-Bomp as a sire, and then on her bottom side she's got Slippin' Jimmy as a grandsire, which goes back to Big Daddy. So this is a Big Daddy focus breeding. I'm sure she's going to be fine. She looks like she's walking around. This is unusual. I wish it wouldn't have happened when we did the video, but that's what happens when we have 30 dogs. We have a dog get injured on occasion. But since she's putting weight on it, she probably just strained a muscle or something. Another dog with a high finish. Boomer's got a high finish. Scarlett's got a high finish. And this dog's got a high finish. That's because these dogs, and so does Bandit, that's because these dogs are heavily influenced by Madison Parker's yard. There's a working-based program. High trade high, good hunt, very stable with the family. All right, next up, we've got Miss Parker.
Okay, now before we move on, I want to remind people that in case they came in just now, that Miss Bandit is indeed fine. So we're going to show that clip again. This is, like I said, that was 4 days ago when I made the original video, and I didn't release it at the time because she had just hurt her foot. But she's back to normal, as you can see here. Whoop. What's going? Oh, okay. Okay, let me show that
All right, when
again.
we did the original video, Miss Bandit had hurt her back foot, and that was just maybe like 3 or 4 days ago. So I wanted to give an update and let y'all see that she's fine. She just had a little injury on the pad of her foot, and it's healed up just in 3 or 4 days. So anyway, let's go ahead and get back to the video. You can tell she's pregnant, so this is a little bit later, and she's gained a little weight even in 4 days.
All right. So again, you can see she's fine. Let me go ahead and proceed.
This is Miss Parker. She's out of Boomer, bred back to Miss
Bandit.
Bandit. Okay? And so we took Boomer to Miss Bandit to make Miss Parker. And the reason why I named her Miss Parker is because her pedigree is based off of Madison Parker's yard. Of course, yes. Rosebud was from Mickey Smith, and Rosebud is 100% Sorrells, but everything else in this dog's pedigree is coming from Madison Parker's yard. And so we're seeing great stuff out of her and her brother, who's next door. So she's a young dog. She's only about 8 months old, high drive, showing really good signs. She's a big girl. She's going to be over 50 pounds for her age.
All right, I have a lot of comments coming in. Please keep the comments coming. We will address those at the end of the video.
This is my ace in the hole, so to speak. My favorite.
Oh, I just realized we looked at Bacote and Banshee, and I did not show you their hips, so I need to make sure I show them all. We looked at Miss Bandits, but we didn't show you Bacotes and Banshees. So let me go to that real quick. My apologies, but I want to make sure we hit them all. All right, so there's Banshee's hips. So again, you can see here that the ball of her hip socket is well defined, and it goes, and this is the femur. Here's the femoral head. The femoral head goes well into the socket on both sides. Okay, where's Bacote? There she is, and here's her hip X-ray. Okay, so again, the femoral head goes into the hip sockets very well. Okay, so let me go ahead and remove that. And then the last couple of dogs that we just were looking at in this video are too young. So the reason these dogs, I don't have their hips on Miss Parker, or I've got Miss Bandit, which we've shown already, but I don't have Miss Parker or Bam Bam because they're just like 8 months old, 7 or 8 months old.
In pit bulls for a long time, probably ever.
This is one of my favorite dogs ever.
My favorite prospect that I've had in pit bulls for a long time, probably ever. Good boy. And
this dog is 100% about it, and so is his daddy, and so is their granddaddy.
this is Bam Bam. Bam Bam. What's up, Bam Bam? Bam Bam. Bam Bam is a littermate sibling to Miss Parker. So he is heavily focused on Madison Parker's yard, with a little bit coming from Mickey Smith's yard, which is 100% sold.
Hey, buddy, what's up?
So both these dogs are going to be about 3/4 souls. Okay, Bam Bam is another dog with high praise, high finish, and because of our program with the American Sentinel, we are actually going to use him to do protection work. And I know a lot of our pit bull fans don't like to see pit bulls doing protection work, but that's different folks for different folks, and that's what we like to do. We do hog catch and protection work, and we participate in legal venues.
All right, I'm going to mention we have 2 clips on every kennel, and we put a clip in the top one. It's just not in there right now because I'm in there. And I also understand that some people don't like to see pit bulls do protection work. That's your prerogative. The main thing is, if you are going to do protection work with a pit bull, you better be super responsible because you don't want to deal with any legal issues.
And this dog's all about it. and he also has a high finish. We had to separate these pups from each other at 7 weeks of age because the amount of prey drive and finish that they would have.
And he's also great with the family, of course.
They had to be isolated from one another.
I'm not going to keep a dog unless it's great with the family.
And because of how they're put together, a lot of Frankie-Bomp in here and a lot of Big Daddy in here, Madison's yard.
Okay, so let's look at the pedigree of Miss Parker and Bam Bam. So we're going to go to this tab here. They're both sired by Boomer. So we're going to go to Offspring, and we're going to look for Miss Bandit is the mother. So there we go. And if we look at that, that's the breeding that made Miss Parker and Bam Bam. I don't know if I have entered them. So that's Miss Bonnie Parker. I don't have a picture of that yet because she was a pup when I entered it. And that's Bam Bam, the dog that we just looked at. But I don't have a picture of him yet. But you can see that's Boomer right there, and that's Miss Bandit. So we have Miss Bandit as the mother of Miss Parker and the mother of Bam Bam. And if we look at siblings, you're going to see both of those two dogs listed right there, Bam Bam and Bonnie Parker. If you don't know who Bonnie Parker, she was the shooter in Bonnie and Clyde. So you may have heard of Bonnie and Clyde. All right. And they're too young. Bam Bam and Miss Parker are too young to have their hips x-rayed, so we haven't done that yet. We like to wait until they're about a year and a half old or so before we do the hip x-ray, because when they're young like that, they're just developing. But I'm sure they're going to be excellent.
A lot of Frankie-Bomp in here and a lot of Big Daddy in here, Madison's yard. Next, this is a 100% pure Sorrells dog. Beautiful specimen, great pedigree, very athletic, and good producer. Her name is Pumpkin. Okay, Pumpkin has been a good producer for us. Pumpkin has been a good producer for us, and we're very happy with her. She's about probably 45 pounds or so, 46 pounds. She's decent size. She actually is probably 46 to 48, but condition she's going to be closer to 45. She's in heat right now, and we'll probably be breeding her. I'm going to try to breed her back with Frankie-Bomp, because that's the basis of our program. But I say try because he's passed, and I have semen collected from him, but it's not as easy to get that done because sometimes the veterinarian's schedule doesn't match up with the females in heat. And I was promised when they had it collected that they would make it happen and he would change the schedule, but when time came to do that last time, he wasn't going to do it. So I was a little disappointed with him working with us like he promised.
All right, now just an FYI, Pumpkin does have pups on the ground. She already had pups on the ground like months and months ago, but I have 2 male pups still available off of her. So if you are interested in one of the pups off of Pumpkin and Boomer, let me know. All right, next up, let's look at Pumpkin's pedigree. And so we're going to back out of this. Let me close that tab and go to Pumpkin's pedigree. And that's the dog we just looked at. So this is Pumpkin, and you can see her pedigree. She's out of Hardcore and Screamer. I was a big fan of Hardcore, super, super nice dog. Screamer was a very muscular dog, but I preferred Hardcore more than Screamer. Screamer was a real short, stocky dog, and I noticed when she would work, she would snort just a tiny bit. But Hardcore was a tremendous athlete, and they were bred together. And since I liked Hardcore so much, and he was really old when that breeding was done, I grabbed 2 dogs out of that breeding. This is the female. That is a female, and her name is Pumpkin. She's just jacked. Okay. And of course, I do have a hip x-ray on her as well, because we do that. So let's go to image file and look at Pumpkin. And here's her pedigree. Or, excuse me, here's her hip x-ray. Very nice hips. Again, the ball of the socket goes well into the femur. And then next up, we have her brother. And so I'm going to go ahead and pull up his hip x-ray because we do them all. Something that nobody does, basically, but we do them all. And again, the femoral head goes into the socket very nicely. Okay, so let's go back to the video, or actually we'll jump over here and look at siblings, and you'll see her brother, again, ADBA registered, jackknife. Okay, hardcore and screamer, 100% Sorrells, a lot of pokey blood. Pokey, for those of you that don't know, Pokey is a heavily boomerang dog because even though some stuff on his ADBA registration doesn't actually show a lot of the boomerang, we wrote this up to explain how people can know how the true Bubba Bow dog is really bred. And there's a video where I talked to Madison Parker about that. If you want to see that video, you can go to his pedigree here. Just type in champion Sorrells with the apostrophe after the Sorrells, Pokey, and then a space and a period. Okay, and then that'll take that should if you type that in Google and click on the pedigree that's titled like that, then that should bring you here, and then you can click on the video if you want to see that, or you can just go to my channel and you can see that video here where I talked to Madison about how that dog is actually truly put together, and Madison Parker is the guy that would know. So so you can check that there if you want to, and then you can also click on Bubba Bow's ped. And here is verification of that. This paperwork here was written by Bert Sorrells himself, and it shows how Sorrells' Billy Bowlegs, this is actually a brother to Bubba Bow, and it shows his true pedigree on how he's bred off a boomerang. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go back to our video now and look at Jackknife.
I was a little disappointed in him working with us like he promised. This is Jackknife. Jackknife is also 100% Sorrells. He was selected by me as a pup. Both these dogs were selected by me when they were pups.
Hey, buddy, what's up?
Jackknife is a phenomenal athlete, beautiful pedigree. Both of these dogs are sired by Hardcore, and their mother was Shaker. Hardcore was a phenomenal dog. Unfortunately, Hardcore passed away, and in my opinion, Hardcore may have been one of the best dogs that Mickey had, so his loss was a significant loss. But both of these dogs are out of Hardcore, and this dog has produced well for us. You can see he's absolutely ripped.
Yeah, get him in the sunlight.
Yeah, absolutely ripped. A supreme muscular specimen. I wish I could get in this look at you. Beautiful animal.
Hey, you want to do that?
What'd you say?
I was going to say, you want to do that again? I can zoom in.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay. So out of Hardcore and Shaker, we had Shaker here. Mickey Smith actually bred Shaker back to him. We had Shaker here for probably 8 months or so. And Shaker was a nice dog. She's really stocky and muscular, but I like Hardcore better. So even though we bred her back to Shaker at Mickey Smith's request, I didn't keep anything off of that. I felt like Hardcore was the better of the two dogs, so I didn't want to double up on Shaker blood. So we just kept we just kept the Jackknife and Pumpkin and didn't keep a lot of the Shaker blood. Hardcore was phenomenal. They got the pedigrees, and sticking them back to Madison Parker's working stock seems to be working very well. It revives that pedigree nicely. That's where we want to be in terms of the quality of what we want to produce.
Banshee's down there jumping.
So what I said was taking the pure Sorrells dogs back to Frankie-Bomp really put me where I wanted to be, because Frankie-Bomp was bringing in a ton of performance, and so did Madison Parker's dog Sadie, who was the mother of Miss Bandit. Sadie is a phenomenal dog, and I must not have talked about Miss Bandit's pedigree, so because that's a key note to check out. Miss Bandit, her mother is Sadie, and Sadie was a very important dog to really take our program. Frankie-Bomp and Sadie really were two phenomenal working dogs, and you take those dogs back to those pure Sorrells dogs, and it really built my yard.
Been up and down.
Yep.
So is he now.
Yep. This is a little girl named Spaz. Spaz is out of Boomer and Pumpkin. So this is a combination of Mickey and Madison put together. When I say Mickey and Madison, I'm talking about Sorrells blood. Two different branches of the same tree. The tree being Sorrells and the branches being Madison and Mickey. So this is Spaz. She's a smaller animal, but she is a Spaz, and she is an intense firecracker. Every single one of these dogs, it's taken me 25 years to get the line of pit bulls that I wanted. Every single one of these dogs is a high drive, solid nerves, never nervous type of dog that really likes to work. Every single one of them will stand their ground and work. They all have good structure. Like I said, I don't have a pit bull with fair hips. Every single one of these pit bulls has excellent or good hips. And they all have good structure as well. I don't have a single pit bull that has poor structure. And out of the 10 that I have, maybe 1 or 2 of them have a reverse scissor, but the rest of them have a scissor bite. We've selected very hard, bringing the best to the best and selecting the best.
Okay, so what I said there was we worked very hard to breed best to best and cull the rest. I've looked for excellent conformation, but more importantly, drive, more importantly, confidence, more importantly, solid nerves. The structure, while it's nice when it comes to conditioning an animal and having a good recovery time, structure in truth comes after all those other criteria that are tremendously important, because what good is a dog with good structure if it doesn't have the get up and go? You got to have the go before you can have anything else. So I want to drive, confidence, good nerves, meaning a dog that doesn't get nervous and freaks out on you. If you're going to take a dog hog hunting or doing protection work, you don't want a dog that's going to get nervous in the environment, because that can shut a dog down no matter how good it is somewhere else, on its home turf. So sound structure, sound nerves, high drives, good confidence, good stability with the family. All of these things are important to me. And then as we go down the list of traits that I desire, some things become less important. While I do like a good scissor bite, obviously the perfect scissor bite is not as important as all those other criteria. But I've gotten to a point now that we don't have a single timid dog. I don't have a single dog with bad nerves. I don't have a single dog that's low drive. I don't have a single dog with poor structure. Everything that I've been wanting out of the pit bulls for 35 years of study and 25 years of breeding, I now have it. And so out of all 10 of the pit bulls that I have, we have 2 of them maybe that have a reverse scissor, not a gap, not an underbite, but just a reverse scissor, meaning instead of the top teeth being just barely in front, maybe they're even, or the bottom teeth are in front, but there's no gaps between the top and bottom teeth. Couldn't be happier with our program. And not only that, but I'm seeing that working ability that Madison had from Frankie-Bomp and Sadie really coming through consistently in our yard, and I love it. All right. Back to the video.
I don't believe, honestly, that there's a better Sorrells program in existence today.
What I said there, and it may sound egotistical or narcissistic, but the truth is I don't think there's a better Sorrells program in existence today. I think that Madison Parker's blood of working dogs really revived what he had back in the 80s and 90s, and we were able to put that together.
So Hunter, actually this one's going to be Boomer and Pumpkin. Pumpkin's 100% Sorrells, Boomer 7/8. She's going to be 15/16 Sorrells, so that's 94%. 100% Sorrells, 100% Sorrells. He's going to be about 75% Sorrells. But this dog, even though he's lower Sorrells, man, this dog has got the finish of it.
Let me rewind this video for just a minute. I need to point out something. This dog right here that I'm pointing at is a young dog. She's a pup. Okay, she's probably Actually, she's a little older than I think. Let's see. How old is she going to be? Probably 10 months old. All right. Her name is Spaz.
Boomer and Pumpkin. Pumpkin's 100% Sorrells. Boomer 7/8. She's going to be 15/16 Sorrells. So that's 94%. 100% Sorrells. 100% Sorrells. He's going to be about 75% Sorrells. But this dog, even though he's lower Sorrells, man, this dog has got the finish of an intense dog, and he's been acting that way ever since he was young. And so has she. They had to be separated from their litter mates when, like I said, they were 7 to 8 weeks of age, maybe even 6 weeks of age, especially Bam Bam. And then she's got great finish, great play drive.
How much Sorrells?
She's going to be lower on the percentage than some of the others because Sadie wasn't as high percentage as Sorrells as Frankie-Bomp. Frankie-Bomp was 75%, and Sadie was probably closer to 2/3 Sorrells. So she's going to be somewhere around the 70% mark Sorrells.
All right. We just got done talking about Sadie.
Or not,
let me show you that pedigree. So we're going to go back to Miss Bandit. I'm going to go to this tab, and we're on my website now. And we're going to come up here and drop down to female pit bulls and go to Miss Bandit. So here's some pictures of that's Banshee right there. Phenomenal. These are in alphabetical order. A lot of people think I've listed them from favorite to least favorite. That's not correct. They're listed in alphabetical order. So we're going to go down to Miss Bandit, and there's Miss Bandit. That's the dog we were just looking at that's pregnant. Okay. And then here's her pedigree. So Miss Bandit is out of Frankie-Bomp and Sadie was an awesome dog. Slippin' Jimmy and Frankie-Bomp were both sired by Big Daddy. So anything off of, or excuse me, with Sadie being double bred Big Daddy, it really brought those traits in that I liked. And so when we took her back to Boomer, we got the Bam Bam and Miss Parker pups. And that's why if you see siblings, you'll see Bam Bam. Okay. And that's, that really clicked for us. In this pedigree, you see Frankie-Bomp goes to Big Daddy, and you got Frankie-Bomp again going to Big Daddy, and you got Slippin' Jimmy going to Big Daddy. So Boomer to Miss Bandit goes to, because that's Frankie-Bomp, and then Frankie-Bomp to Sadie. So when you take Boomer, who's off of Frankie-Bomp, to Miss Bandit, who's off of Frankie-Bomp, and who's off of Sadie, who goes to Slippin' Jimmy, we got 3 times Big Daddy, and maybe that has something to do with that breeding working so well, because it certainly did. Video back where I was talking about
lower on the
Banshee.
Frankie-Bomp 2/3 Sorrells, but doubled up on Frankie-Bomp. Or not doubled up Frankie-Bomp, doubled up on Big Daddy. Okay, and Big Daddy was a heck of a dog. This one here is going to be just 3/8. Actually, she's the lowest. Her and Bacody are the lowest because she was out of Frankie-Bomp and Komodo, as was Bacody. Frankie-Bomp and Komodo. Frankie-Bomp was 3/4, which is 75%, but Komodo had 0% Sorrells. That was an outcross for us, and that was the one that was heavy on Mayday. But she's only going to be 3/8 technically Sorrells, and then a lot of that other stuff, probably another 3/8 of Bolio stuff coming in her, which is very similar. So still 75% if you go back to what's called the Carver Tudor cross, basically. Okay.
Somebody asked if I go to shows. We're going to answer all the questions as soon as we're done with this video, and we're almost done. So please hang in there and share, like, and subscribe if you're enjoying the content.
Then we have, again, Scarlet, who is going to be 7/8, 87.5%, and also another 7/8, 87.5%. So that's the Pit Bull program. Those of you who are just Pit Bull enthusiasts, will end it here for you guys. We'll drop the pedigrees, like I said, down below, and y'all can check them out.
Okay, so let me ask y'all to stay in here for just a minute as we go through the questions and comments. All right, so I'm going to exit that tab. And I think I showed all the hip x-rays for every dog. Let's see. I know you saw Jackknife. I know you saw Pumpkin. I know you saw Banshee and Bacody's. Miss Bandits you saw. Boomers you saw. Scarlets you saw. The only 2 that you didn't see would have been Bam Bam and Miss Parker, and that's because they're young. So I do think I showed everybody's pedigree. If I did not, my apologies. If you know for a fact I missed a pedigree, please mention it in the comments and I'll do it because I want to make sure I show every hip x-ray and every pedigree before I end this video. All right, let's see. Let's go to the American Sentinel is the best dog in the world. We certainly appreciate it. We worked really hard to produce the finest band dog in the world, and I wouldn't have done it if I don't believe the American Sentinel brings some things to the table that the American Pit Bull Terrier does not. But as far as pure breeds, established pure breeds go, I personally think the American Pit Bull Terrier, the game-bred American Pit Bull Terrier from working programs, is the supreme canine in the world. And that's why it's the backbone of the American Sentinel. We wanted to add some traits to it to make it better for a different application. And whenever we cross one of those dogs, it's no longer a pit bull. I don't care if it's 99% pit bull and 1% something else. If it's 1% something else, it's not a pit bull. So that's how we do our American Sentinels. We do have American Sentinels that range anywhere from basically 50% up to 90% pit bull, but most of them are going to be around 3/4. All right, next comment. Your Sentinel program is the most established band dog program in the world. Even then, you never stops to produce better. Certainly try to. We certainly try to. Okay. Next. Thank you for the support, by the way. I need to start that comment if I didn't already. Thank you so much. You're always very supportive, and I recognize it. Hit me up if you want to. This gentleman here. I see you from time to time. If you hit me up, I'm going to send you a hat if you'd like that. All right. Great video. What are your thoughts on Tom Garner's dogs? A lot of people give Tom Garner a hard time. A lot of people love Tom Garner. I think it's important that we remain objective. I think anybody that comes over the top one way or the other is suffering from some sort of bias or prejudice, whether it's prejudice for or prejudice against. The truth is, Tom Garner has been around this game for a long time. He's going to have some good dogs. He's going to have some that are not so good. And anybody that tells you all the dogs off of a person's yard are one extreme or the other extreme is just not being honest. So I don't like to comment about other programs because as a breeder, I think me speaking on his program in a negative way is disrespectful and should be taken as competition and running at the mouth. Frankly, I think if you have a problem with somebody, don't run your mouth. Instead, breed better dogs. And that's what I try to do. Do I like his dogs better than mine? Nope, I don't. I wouldn't trade my dogs for his yard. All right. Yes, he's got a lot of dogs, and I'm sure it's worth more. So in that sense, maybe I should. But the truth is, I like my dogs better, and I'm going to stick with them. But does he have good dogs? Absolutely. Okay. Does he have bad dogs? I'm sure he does. And anybody that tells you that every dog's perfect is dishonest, because while I love all the adult dogs and the prospects that I have, and if I had a dog that I didn't like, I would get rid of it. The truth is, when we have a litter of pups, not every pup in that litter is going to meet that criteria. We're going to have some that work out and some that don't. And I think it's important to remain honest. A lot of people suffer from kennel blindness, and kennel blindness is the best way to destroy your program. All right. Next. We like your dogs and your kennel. Congratulations. I have a rustic band dog. I recommend you to several friends. Certainly appreciate it, bud. Thank you very much. I like to do performance testing and health testing on all of our animals, and then I look for the traits that I desire, which, as I said before, are going to be confidence, drive, stability, health, athleticism, a good scissor bite, good structure, and good hips. But most importantly is confidence, drives, nerves, and stability. She's a jumper. We have a lot of jumpers. All right. Scarlet's a jumper. Banshee's a jumper. Bacody's a jumper when she's in a regular kennel and not whelping a litter or raising a litter. Jackknife's a jumper. We have a lot of jumpers. Okay. Did Mr. Sorrells mention what he selected for? Well, obviously he would have thought gameness would have been top priority. He told me one time that he liked a dog that had a nice, tight, athletic body, but then again, he also had some dogs that were bigger that were not super tight and were a little bit heavy on the heavy side, like Pokey. But determination What did Bert Sorrells breed for? He bred for winning. That's what he bred for. All right, winning. All right. I really like the female brindle pups out of Bakoti. Thank you. I'm hoping that we can pick out a nice one for ourselves. All right. Yes, the brindle is gorgeous. Banshee is a beautiful dog. It's not Banksy. It's Banshee. Like screaming Banshee. That was probably a typo. No big deal. All right. But yeah, there you go. All right. Yeah, she's beautiful. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Outside of this conversation of the Sorrells blood, what made you drawn to them, and why don't you breed? Why don't you breed other lines? Okay, why didn't I breed other lines? I have bred other lines. We bred some Mayday dogs. We had, if you look up Demon Head and Shaker breeding, Demon Head space X space Shaker pedigrees online, you'll see a breeding that we did that was double bred on Barracuda. Demon Head was out of some Strickland blood, and that was some nice dogs, but I just like the Sorrells dogs better for a number of reasons. One, they're super intelligent. Don't you do that. Come here, girl. They're super intelligent, very game. Bert Sorrells had a very high track record of success. His dogs also did many other venues besides game dog venues. They also excelled in dog shows. They excelled in dock diving. They excelled in weight pool. They excelled in Schutzen, which is a protection work. They also excelled at hog catch, and they were also very good family companion type of dogs. So with all of the attributes that I saw in them, and intelligence being way up high, they really just did so good in so many venues. Plus, if you got the right ones, they were healthy. The main thing that you can have to watch out for in a Sorrells dog is some of them can be a little timid. I don't have any timid dogs. We selected against that. We didn't want any of that. And they also have good size for a family of dogs. And they were also heavily bred on Davis's Boomerang. So I think there's no better line when it comes to what I'm looking for. Okay. Next, I still have a year and a half to talk to the wife about getting a brindle girl. Well, good luck with that one, man. I can't help you with that. A personal trainer told me the game bred American Pit Bull Terrier that can do protection work, in his experience, is the best protection dog. Passes all the consistency and better than most dogs. He clearly continued. Look, the bottom line is the game bred American Pit Bull Terrier can do very, very well at protection work. A lot of people just don't like to admit it. A lot of people don't want to talk about it, but it's often accredited that the game bred American Pit Bull Terrier can do anything that any other dog can do and then whoop it afterwards. So, it can pull a sled like a husky. It can track game like a bloodhound. It can hunt like a beagle. They can do a lot of different things. That's why the world records in weight pull competitions for pound stuff especially are held by pit bulls. They're just a tremendous athlete. There's no job that a canine has ever done that is harder than what the pit bull has been asked to do. Okay, and because of that, they're very athletic and very powerful. The problem with the game bred American Pit Bull Terrier is it unfortunately attracts a lot of people that do not have the highest degree of intelligence. Some people do. Some people that have pit bulls are super intelligent, right? But some are not. And as a result of that, you start finding people that are doing poor breedings. They don't necessarily check out their hips. They don't check out their stability. They do stupid things like put gunpowder in their food, which is an old stupid wise tale. And next thing you know, you have unstable dogs. And so if a person selects with wisdom and looks for the proper traits that we've named time and time again in this video, so I'm not going to name it again, but if you do the proper selection, you can have a dog do protection work and still is very friendly with the family and even welcomed guests. The problem with talking about protection work in pit bulls is there's so many people that think if a dog does protection work, it's just a mean, vicious, unstable man biter, and that's not the case. I don't want unstable dogs. I don't want nervous dogs. I don't want fearful dogs. I'm not looking for dogs that are going to create problems in my life. Okay, a protection dog should not be a liability. It should be an asset. All right. Next, haven't worked with Sorrells. Oh, clearly hasn't worked. Yes, the Sorrells dogs are really good. So that's a continued from the personal one. It says continued. So if you think that they can't do protection work, they clearly haven't worked the Sorrells dog, and I agree 100%. We had Sorrells dogs back in 2003. We got, or 2004. We had Sorrells Captain Skip. So you may have seen or heard of Sorrells Captain Skip. That was a dog that I owned, and let me show you him real quick. I got this dog directly from Bert Sorrells himself. And not only did I get him from Bert Sorrells himself, but the collar that he's wearing and leash he has on in this photo is a collar and leash that I personally made. So that's Sorrells Captain Skip right there, and I'm the owner of that dog. He was born back in 2003, or no, yeah, okay. It said 5. It threw me off. He was born in. They do the dates different here. So he was born in 2003, November of 2003, and we got him in 2004. And this is on my yard. This picture was taken on my yard. I made that collar and that leash. Okay. Stop sharing that. We're going to go back to StreamYard. So the way I came across the Sorrells dogs, even though they were highly, highly accomplished, I met Madison Parker at an archery event. He is a traditional wilderness living and survival skills kind of guy, and made traditional bows and traditional arrows and traditional spears and stuff like that. And I used to make traditional bows. I owned a company called Keep It Simple Archery, and we were at the same event side by side, set up in our booths and whatnot. And I had a dog with me at the time, and he saw my dog, and we just had a conversation, and he was telling me about his history and the Sorrells dogs and whatnot. And so that was a good connection back in 2000. That was probably in 2002, maybe 2003. And then we ended up going to Bert Sorrells' yard a few times in 2003 and 2004. And I acquired Captain Skip in 2004. He actually gave me Captain Skip, and we did some business with him later on and whatnot. All right, what's up, y'all? R.I.P. Frankie. Yes, unfortunately, Frankie-Bomp has passed away, but I do have his semen on tap, and it is ADBA profile, or ADBA registered, and he is also DNA profiled. Okay, let's see. Next. Another awesome informative video. Thank you you have several from your yard. Yes, thank you, Johnny. I appreciate your support. Unfortunately, Eldon, unfortunately, Frankie-Bomp has passed away, but we do have his blood. Frankie-Bomp still living. I love the bloodline. I love the bloodline too. He's probably one of my favorite pit bulls of all time. When he was alive, he was, but right now I'm really liking Boomer and Bam Bam quite a bit. They act just like him. All right. I love Jackknife too. All of your others are so right about everything else you've been saying. This goes for every single one that you have, and you are right. Period. You have top of the line. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yes, sir. Banshee too. Nice looking dogs. Every one of them you have time in. Okay, that's right. We got to spend time with all those dogs and the productions that it takes to do that. If you don't spend time with the dogs, you don't know the dogs. If you don't know the dogs, you can't look at their traits. If you don't know their traits, you can't breed them properly. So a dog for a dog to perform properly, you need to know it and be able to assess its traits. Do I go to dog shows is what he's talking about. I have not been going to dog shows. We select for performance first. We look for the traits that we desire for a dog to do, either man work when it comes to protection work or for hog catch. And but in the future, we'll probably go to some dog shows in the future. I actually have a kind of a personal problem with dog shows, and that is because you have a judge look at your dog. He doesn't know anything about your dog's abilities or temperament or drives and confidence. And a lot of dogs will go to these shows and they put on this huff and puff and bluff as if it's enough, but it's not really a way to really truly assess a dog's determination in a task. So you can kind of look at the dog's nerves to see if it's nervous. You can kind of look at some of its confidence when it's not involved. But you can kind of look at its general fitness, but you don't really know what the hips are like. You don't know what the determination is like, what the confidence truly is. You don't know about the stability in all aspects. You're getting a small glimpse, and the stranger is going to tell you which dog is the best there. Well, that's the best way to run a dog, and that's why the AKC show dogs cannot compete with the working dogs that they came from. If you go look at an AKC show dog husky, it'll be a beautiful looking animal, but it can't pull a sled, which is what the dogs were bred to do. And so I'm more of a performance breeder than I am show breeder. But will I go to a dog show? Maybe I will eventually. But that's why I put this information out there. You can actually see my dogs face to face, and you can see their hips, and you can, if you're around when we're doing some work, then you can see them work. But at least you can tell their natural temperament. All right. A ribbon from a stranger that doesn't know the dog doesn't mean as much to me. But will I go just for camaraderie, to meet the other people in the pit bull? That's why I would want to go. All right. Let's see. How would you compare the training differences of an American Pit Bull Terrier and a traditional protection dog such as a GSD? Well, a German Shepherd is not going to be as stable with the family, because a German Shepherd, and no offense intended to people that like German Shepherds, you can have some stable Shepherds, but let's remember that a German Shepherd does protection work a lot of times out of rank drive. And if you study the American Pit Bull Terrier, you may hear of the term rank cur. A dog that's fighting for a rank is seeking dominance. And a pit bull is not just in combat, whether it be protection work or whether it be hog hunting or whether it be what they were used for in the traditional past. But a game dog enjoys the combat, whether he's winning or not. He's willing to go, and they enjoy it. And because they enjoy it, the game dog is more determined. The German Shepherd is seeking dominance, and when they realize they cannot establish dominance, they'll quit and run. And I don't want my protection dog to run. I want my protection dog to stay. If let's say a mugger or something like that breaks into my daughter's room, a person that has malicious intent towards a family member of mine, and especially if I'm not here, I want that dog to remain engaged because it's a family companion guardian. Okay. And I like that. And I don't want a dog that's going to be a liability. If my daughter drops a steak on the ground and she goes to pick it up, I don't want the dog to challenge my daughter. The pit bull that we keep in our family is a family companion, and it's not going to do that, and it's stable. And you can tell them to get back, and they'll get back with the family. A German Shepherd might say, this is an opportunity for me to establish dominance because this is a child and the master's not here, and there's a steak on the ground and I want it. And I can't be corrected by the master because he's not here. Well, I don't want to deal with that. I also don't like a dog that sheds a lot. So what do people with pit bulls call dogs that fight for dominance? They call them rank curs, because when they cannot establish rank, they cur, which means they quit. Okay. And don't get me wrong here, the German Shepherd is easy to train because it has rank, because it has this dominant nature. It's very easy for a amateur protection trainer to get those dogs to work, because all you got to do is posture at them and stand tall, and they'll get excited and start going. And then you can reward that confidence or engagement, and you can build it. But the truth of it, they're not true gladiators. They're herder breeds that have been modified to do protection work and security work for like the last 100 years. So they should be pretty good at it, and they are pretty good at it. But it's not what I would personally want for my family, because I don't like dogs that shed, and I don't like dogs that have dominance issues. Okay. Love your program. Looking forward to opportunity when I can have one of your dogs. Thank you very much. In all honesty, his dogs are way better than Tom's. Well, I appreciate the support, and I would personally think so, but we can't disrespect somebody like him, who's got massive numbers of successes in his history with the pit bull. All right. Do you think someone could take one of your American Pit Bull Terriers to PSA? Absolutely. Because that's Protection Sports Association. Okay. Do you still use treadmills and spring poles with the American Sentinel? We use spring poles. I got rid of the treadmills probably 15 years ago, when if you just breathed the wrong direction and had a pit bull or a break-in stick or a treadmill, they just assumed all kinds of things about you. So since I wasn't involved in any illegal activities, I didn't want to deal with that. I got rid of the treadmills. However, now treadmills are quite popular, and people are using them for German Shepherds and all kinds of activities, and they're being used for treadmill races. And they're being used by veterinarians for conditioning. So we're going to be getting a couple of treadmills again when we build our facility, and talk about conditioning quite a bit more. Okay, but the spring poles, the flirt poles, I like a flirt pole quite a bit, and I like doing other exercises with tugs that you can throw a tug and do retrieval type things. There's other ways to exercise a dog. You don't have to have a treadmill. You can do interact and play with your dog in a way that's very demanding. Thank you for explaining rank drive. I enjoyed the article on your website about drives. I'm also not a fan of dogs that shed. Yep. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching the video, and we're going to go ahead and sign out and end this stream. Again, thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, reach out to me, and Eldon, by all means, feel free to reach out to us as well. Y'all take care and have a blessed day.